Wide Awake is a very, very experimental film on a lot of levels. There are parts of it that are an attempt to evoke via metaphor and analogy what goes on in the restless mind of someone who cannot sleep. You know, and I've never used more archival images in a film. You know, there are more surreal disconnections of image and sound in that film than in any other film I've ever made, actually. So in a way, that was really an attempt to take a real subject with a very real, deep strain of pathos, like sleep and being unable to sleep, and entering the real world of science with doctors and scientists, and trying to understand what's going on, and trying to turn that into visual metaphor and into analogous stories, but also to keep mind that sleep is a mysterious place. It's the world of dreams, for instance, which is a surreal milieu. And I love the idea that I could use dreams in the film and try to illustrate them, try to evoke them. And I use 3 dreams in my film. I find myself walking around the city all night, looking to find someone who can tell me why everyone else knows how to sleep, except me. There's a documentary component to my work. I work with real images sometimes. I work with real issues, family, relationships between people. But I try to interpret those issues and those realities with cinematic devices and tell the stories using the language of cinema in a way that I hope is fresh and innovative and avant-garde in spirit. And so I see my work as a kind of mixing of the two, a kind of a collage of those two, and maybe even some other sensibilities as well. We were taught to think of ourselves, and even just to think of cinema itself as a fine art. And so classes we would, I mean, in addition to the books that we were reading, but we'd go to classes and we'd look at paintings. We'd go to museums and look at paintings. We'd go in classes and listen to music, you know, or read poetry. This is an art form, and it's very plastic, and you can do things which you can stretch the language, you know, push and pull and tear and you know, in the tradition of art, any tradition should be, you know, smashed and renewed. We were taught how to use cameras a little and how to use equipment a little, but that wasn't the emphasis on the program. The emphasis was on getting, you know, what's in between the ears, to get the mindset right. I'm reinventing myself as I go along, and just trying to follow the intuitive trail of where my filmmaking journey is taking me. And I still bring with me, you know, a collage aesthetic. You know, I still bring with me an approach to finding metaphor in images to tell stories. You know, I still bring with me a sense of musicality in the editing of my films and in the unfolding of the images, and still bring me a love for montage in whatever I do. That's never going to change. I've been collecting things since I was a little boy, since I was a small child, and so without even realizing why. Now, while I have this moment and while I have the energy, you see these boxes behind me? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, the colors of the spectrum. The red boxes, they are black and white film. Old newsreels, educational films, things I got from the National Archives. The orange boxes are sound effects. Footsteps on brush, cement, dirt, grass, gravel, ground, interior, snow, water. You never know when you're going to need something. You never know. So it's important to have it around when you need it. There's a sentence in my film Wide Awake where I say, I want to be able to act at the speed of thought. On some level, what I'm celebrating is the sheer plasticity of images, of making and working with images and sounds, which I love, you know? But I'm also creating a work that has a kind of thematic consistency that might not even be the right word. At very least, what I'm creating is a work that's using a family metaphor. You might think of these images and sounds as almost like DNA. And I'm taking DNA from one film and putting little pieces of it in the next film, and then some in the next film, and the next film. So the films are genetically related, you know, almost like a body, you say a body of work, or a family of films. They're all connected, you know, which is really nice to me, because if you see all the films together, then you start to recognize images and sounds and the way they're used, and those kind of evocations and again references and footnotes create other levels